So, hello, my name is Tori Waner, and I'm here with Ellen Clarke. She is the Executive Director of the Big Bear Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I just want to take this opportunity to get to know a little bit more about you and also the amazing things that you're doing in the Big Bear community. So, my first question for you, Ellen, is what brought you to Big Bear?
Hi, Tori. First, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you today and share a little bit about myself with you in the community. What brought me to Big Bear? Um, 10 months in a 21-foot Class B van with a basset hound named Solo. That's what brought me to Big Bear.
Cute!
Yeah, I drove across country. I quit my job and I rented out my house. I'm from Virginia. I was living in Maryland. And I just decided that I wanted to do something that people advised me absolutely not to do. It wasn't safe. And I said, I'm doing it anyway, because that's kind of the person I am. Um, and I just wanted to visit national parks, but I wanted to see, I've done pretty extensive travel other places, but I had not spent time in my own country. And I wanted to see the national parks. And then I just wanted to ramble a bit and meet interesting people and hear interesting viewpoints about what they were doing and who they were. And it was a trip of a lifetime, best trip I've ever taken. I don't regret a minute of it. But I came to Big Bear because I stayed in LA, in Eagle Rock, with a friend of mine. And one weekend she said, let's take the van and Solo the hound and let's go up to Big Bear Lake. I hear it's really beautiful and let's go see it. And I was like, sure, let's do it. So we came up here, we camped in the Serrano campground over in Fonskin, and we drove around town and we did some hiking, went out on the lake, and I decided that I wanted to live here. So 4 months later, I went home to Maryland and Virginia and announced to my family I was moving to California, to Big Bear Lake.
Oh my gosh, that's an incredible story. So, how long have you been in Big Bear?
5 years. It was 5 years this month. So, and I
Oh,
love it.
happy 5-month anniversary.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
so welcome. Well, okay, so now that you've been up here in Big Bear for 5 years, what are some of the things that you like to do in your free time?
Well, I'm an avid reader. I read everything. I read the back of cereal boxes. I read, but I'm also a current events, politics and news junkie. And my career was spent in 30 years of working for nonprofit trade management association, and most of those trade associations were very active, advocating for the interests of the group before the state and local legislative bodies. So I love government. I'm fascinated by it. So reading is good. Um, of course, I love my dog. She's my best friend.
Oh,
And I love gardening and I love to being outside. And the only thing is, I can't plant a lot of my favorite flowers because they won't grow here.
what's your favorite flower?
Pardon?
What's your favorite flower?
Oh, that's a tough one because I am a huge fan of flowers. Huge. I find beauty in every single flower, from the little tiny ones on the pebble plains to going down to the botanical gardens in LA, to going through a flower market. And I just look, I touch, I smell every flower. I'm just obsessed with flowers. So,
Wow.
so I'm a little nutty that way, but it just reminds me of the beauty of our natural world and the brilliance and the creativity that was involved in making all the different varieties and colors. So it makes me feel very humble.
Wow. Okay, so I may know the answer to this next question, but when and where are you the happiest?
Oh, definitely at home, preferably with friends,
Hmm.
preferably outside.
Your flowers in the garden?
Yeah. flowers in the garden, and I have to say that I am absolutely the happiest in my life now living in Big Bear. I love it here.
Wow, that's so good.
That was
So
an
then,
easy question, Tori.
good. Glad that was easy for you. So then, okay, something else I'm interested about. What is your most treasured possession?
My most treasured possession is a little music box that my oldest sister Joanna got her first year out of college. She's 75 now. And she went to Europe for a year right out of college, and she mailed me the first thing I'd ever been mailed. And it's a little music box, and it plays I Could Have Danced All Night. And there's a little girl with a basket and little birds, and she's feeding the birds, and she's got flowers in her basket. And the background is a little Eiffel Tower with another bird sitting on top of the Eiffel Tower. I was mesmerized when I got it. And poor thing, one of the birds has lost his head at this point. But I still love it. I just keep gluing the things back on. And it's been with me since I was, oh my gosh, 14, maybe 7 or 8 years old. I remember getting it. And it's definitely my most treasured possession.
Oh my, well, that's incredible. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So here's another one for you, maybe a little tougher. Do you have a phrase or like a motto you live by? And then if you do, what is it?
There are a lot of things that I believe in. I was raised in a Christian family, Methodist, in fact. I've always thought the golden rule really took care of most of the rules and most of the regulations and most of the ways that we should live our lives. And I try to live by that myself. I always try to look and understand and be empathetic of other people besides myself. My mother always said, walk in someone else's shoes, and you will have better communication. And that's very true.
Yeah, that is very true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So another question. I know you are a very, very busy and wonderfully involved woman. So can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do with the Big Bear Chamber of Commerce?
Mm-hmm. I've been with the Chamber for a year, and formerly I served doing marketing and membership and a little bit of social media. As I said, I do have 30 years of nonprofit management experience, so this job was very easy to fall into. The chamber's mission, which a lot of people don't know, is that we exist solely for businesses in our community, and with that, the community in which the businesses are located. So our mission is to help and support local businesses through the sustaining and growing our local economy. And I can't think of a time that the chamber is not more relevant, and that a time in which we were doing more important work than what we're doing now. It's very important.
Yeah, you're right. It's very important. That's okay.
Sorry.
Do you need to get that? Are you
I'm going to turn it off, and I apologize for it being on.
No problem. All right. Well, while we're being real, I'm also going to change this view just so I get to see you better. There we go. Okay. So, all right.
In terms of what the chamber is doing, is that everything we do ties back to our mission, and in all the different benefits that we offer our members in communication and marketing, research, resources, and my vision for the chamber going forward is that we are going to be a yes organization, and that we will be working on legislative advocacy on behalf of our businesses to a greater extent than maybe ever before. We have a lot to offer at the chamber. We have a lot of good experience, and we have a really dedicated board of directors. I can't say enough nice things about them. They have been very supportive of me in my position, and they are there for me and there for the community. They work very hard working on policies and mostly getting through my harebrained ideas. But but they're a really great group, and I feel very fortunate to work for them and to be working for this community.
That's awesome. So then, as you had mentioned, during this time it's a little difficult, but what is the chamber doing for the community?
Well, we're focusing on helping our businesses, and we had to pivot rather quickly and stop the projects we already had in place and cancel some things we had in place. And we quickly turned around and came up with, okay, what can we do right now? What would be most helpful to our members, and what can the chamber do within our resource limitations, excuse me, to help. And we came up with several things. First, as I said, we stopped all of our current projects. All of our events have been canceled at this point, including our 2 fundraisers of the year for the chamber. We also set up an e-gift card program, which is one way that people can continue to patronize the businesses during this time. And they can use it now, they can use it 2 months from now, they can use it at the end of the year, and they can use the amount that they purchase for one or any of the participating businesses. And all the participating businesses, of course, are members of the chamber. The second thing we did, we set up a virtual tip jar where employees who've been laid off in the service industries, your bars, your restaurants, your tip salons, anyone who gets tips and relies on those tips can go in and register their information, who they work with, and put either their PayPal account link or their Cash App link or their Venmo link, and right there. And then there's another list of, there's another button on that page on our website where you or I or anyone can go on there, look at the whole list, see if our hair salon stylist is on there, and leave her a tip. And we are really encouraging people to please continue to tip these service providers in our community, whether they're members of the chamber or not. But you know, if you were still getting your hair cut, you'd still be tipping. And we think that there's no reason for that to stop at this point. So we encourage people to do that. The other thing we did was we pivoted from our weekly e-news newsletter that goes out every Friday to well over 1,000 people, to the COVID-19 update bulletin, which we print and we send out not on a specific day of the week now, but whenever something hot needs to get out there to our business owners. So we've been doing that. I would like to applaud, as I think everyone in the community has, our new city manager, Frank Rush, who has done an amazing job of communicating with his weekly, sometimes several times a week. No, I'm sorry, my mistake, daily bulletins. They are informational, they're helpful, and the community really feels, I think, connected by his efforts. So hats off to you, Frank, for doing that. And the other thing that we're doing is our Friday Q&A with the chamber at 10 o'clock every Friday morning. And we do have some different topics going on. Primarily now, we're talking about loans. And the small businesses are so frustrated. The federal government wasn't ready. Of course, who was? For a pandemic that no one living had ever seen or ever experienced to this extent. So I'm not criticizing the federal government. What I'm saying is everything happened so fast. The Small Business Administration wasn't ready. The lenders weren't ready. Federal government wasn't ready. And there are a lot of questions out there about how I apply. Why didn't I get a confirmation? I applied 3 months ago. Why haven't I gotten any money? or they can't get in because the system has crashed, or they get in and they try to put in some tidbit of information and the system kicks them out, or the system is overloaded and shut down. A plethora of roadblocks before these small businesses that so desperately need the money. Sadly, I do expect to see some small businesses go out of business in this next month. They told me that. I did a straw poll yesterday of all of our business and asked them to send me information about their comments and thoughts about reopening Big Bear in preparation for our city task force meeting this morning, which is going to be looking at the reopening plan and taking feedback from the community and from the 9 members on the committee that represent the community. And I wanted to hear what my members thought, and God bless them, they all responded. I have never seen so many emails come through
Wow.
mailbox, and I appreciate each and every single one of them. So that's the other thing that the chamber is doing, is that we are representing the business community before the city and the county and other community leaders during this time. We're the voice of the businesses that might go out of business next month, as well as joining in with the voices of Michael Perry, the interim CEO at Visit Big Bear, and the city, and Jim Miller, who represents Don Rao with our county supervisor, to look at solutions and hear all of every segment of the community. So I've been very actively involved in that. And at this point, I thought Zooms were fun at first, but now I'm so tired of them.
All Zooms, all Zooms all day.
I'm getting Zoom weary at this point.
Yes, I can totally relate. It's funny,
Yeah,
you mentioned
yeah.
too, one of your favorite things being getting to spend time with people and, being in your garden. So I'm sure this has been quite an adjustment for you, but
Yeah, it has been, although I just bought this house last summer and I was so busy because it's the exact month that I took the new job, and I really haven't had time to enjoy my yard and my house. And the fact that I have a basset hound who will listen to me no matter what I'm saying. Absolutely, she's a great listener, not a conversationalist, but she never disagrees with me on anything. She's a great companion at this point.
cute.
So I'm really loving being at home and working at home.
Good. Well, thank you, so much for sharing all of those awesome opportunities that the chamber is providing for these businesses. And so for someone like me or anyone else in the community, how do we get involved?
I think the best thing that we can do for businesses as well as for residents in this community is to follow the safety guidelines and help enforce the guidelines. We have talked a lot among the community leaders about enforcement and the fact that not only that, of course, there's a big concern about opening the gates to Big Bear and welcoming folks from LA and some of the heavy urban areas that have had major outbreaks of the virus, but also residents too. It's important that everyone realize that you're not only safeguarding your health and that of your family, you're also protecting the lives and the health of everyone you come in contact with. It's a very unselfish act that you can do that really costs you very little. And if there's only a 10% chance that you might give the virus to someone else, isn't it worth it to wear a mask, wash your hands, and stay at a safe social distance of 6 feet apart, behind you, on either side of you, and in front of you? I can't stress enough. This is one way that every member of the community, every business owner, every business employee can help us during this time. And that's going to be a big message that is going to, you'll begin hearing and seeing a lot, not only from the chamber, but all the other community leaders. We are in agreement that we have got to take care of ourselves in order to take care of others in the community. So enforcement, we ask the community and business owners to please join with us to do that. No one wants to see an outbreak up here.
Yes.
No one.
No.
But we are responsible for keeping it at bay.
Thank you. That is a very, very important message. And so, as you had mentioned, with us following protocols and stuff, there is still the opportunity to help out small businesses through, you'd mentioned the tip jar and those other resources.
Yes.
So where do we go to find that information, to access the tip jar, to get updates? How would I go about that?
The chamber website, baby.
All right. What's the chamber website for all those people listening out there?
It's www.bigbearchamber.com. And there are links. If you look under the picture on the first page, there's a link for the e-gift card. There is a link for the virtual tip jar. There is a link to our updates on the COVID-19 virus, and links to anywhere you want to go. Everyone's got an update page. Visit Big Bear does, of course, the city does, but also the state, the county, the governments, and other organizations. Everybody and their brother has a COVID-19 update page. And now that a dog has been infected by its owners, I expect Karina will come out any day now with a COVID update of its own.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt. Well, thank you. That is so good. Great information.
You are welcome.
And so I just have like one or two more questions for you before we wrap this up. But you'd mentioned through kind of this interesting time, just how the community has been so supportive, the chamber, everything. So what makes you proud to be part of this community?
I love this community. I grew up in a very small town in Virginia, much smaller than Big Bear, in fact. We didn't get a stoplight in town until I was in high school.
Oh, man.
So I love small communities, and I have lived in a lot of small communities. Big Bear is the most generous and tightly bound community that I've ever lived in. And being from a small town, I love that. And I love how the nonprofits are dynamic and they are helping people who aren't as fortunate as others. And if anyone needs help in this community, so far in 5 years, there's not been a time when the community has sat up and said, okay, we're going to do this, somebody else is going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to take care of these people or this group. And for that reason alone, of course, I love the people. I love being in California. I'm also a Hollywood nut, and I love anything Hollywood. I'm fascinated about anything to do with the entertainment industry. I always was. And California and here in Big Bear, you meet so many interesting people from diverse backgrounds. And I love Phil Hamilton's show where he's interviewing people, because everybody has a backstory and everyone's story is different and it's fascinating. So I applaud your group for getting Phil going on those interviews and everything you're doing. Again, this is another reason I love Big Bear, because we are so community committed and devoted. And that's just what I love. Yeah.
That's awesome. That also is one of the reasons I love this community too. So that's so cool. Okay, so you talked about all of the dynamic people and wonderful people in Big Bear. So who, Ellen, is your hero?
Is this a Barbara Walters question?
Maybe.
I'm probably dating myself here. Barbara Walters, the famous female journalist, she would have these specials, and every time she would ask the person a question that would make them cry.
Oh, that was not my intention here. But
no. And she did it in a wonderful way, and I'm a big admirer of hers because I was going to be a journalist at one point in my life. No, absolutely my father, hands down, my father. And I know that lots of women think their fathers are wonderful, but I'm sorry, mine was truly wonderful. He was a small business owner, which has helped me bring a really good perspective to what I'm doing now. He opened and ran 3 stores. They were called Southern States because they were farm, lawn, and garden supply stores. And he sold paint. He sold horse feed. He sold oyster jars for the watermen who were fishing oysters, and crab pots for the crab fishermen. And then he had pretty posies for everyone to put in their garden, and lots of garden seeds, and you name it. Anyway, in a rural community, his business was essential. But he also was a leader in the community. He was on the Board of Supervisors for the county for years and years, on the Board of Education for years and years. He was on the bank Board of Trustees for years and years, and he's a member of civic clubs and regularly donated to them, and an active churchgoer and a very generous contributor to the church and to the community. Hands down, I had a lot to admire in my father, and I would like to be able to say one day that I followed in his footsteps, but I thought he was amazing. And for that reason, he's absolutely that's always the answer, no matter how many wonderful people I meet.
That's awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing this time with us. Before we close, do you have a special message or any last thoughts you want to share with the Big Bear community?
I think that what I'd like to say to the Big Bear community is, yes, I'm a newbie, and I realize that, but I hope that the community will allow me to help in any way that you see possible, and with any need. I am a generalist. I have lots of different skills, and I'd like to put those skills to good use for this community. I hope that maybe in the next 10 years or so, I'll think about retiring, because I like to work. I don't want to retire. But I hope I can contribute more to maintain this wonderful community that I've chosen as my home, and to do some real good for the community.
Wow. Well, again, thank you so much. And you are a man with all your work with the chamber and just the supporting of the small businesses during this interesting time. We as a community are so appreciative for everything that you're doing. And again, go ahead, and what was the Chamber of Commerce website one more time so everyone knows where to go?
It is www.bigbearchamber.com.
Great.
Please visit it. And at any time, if anyone in the community or business owners listening in need anything, or you just want to ask for advice or who to go to, call us. We are there for you. That's why we exist.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Ellen, for joining us here at Big Bear Connected. And we hope to see you as an audience. We hope that you go to Big Bear Connected, the Facebook page and YouTube channel, check out our events there, as well as visiting the Chamber of Commerce as well, to continue just staying connected with this community and enjoying our time virtually together. Great. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tori. It's been my pleasure to visit with you this morning or this afternoon.